guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jasmine. So today is another Saturday, so we are making another Gilmore Girls video in The Sims 4. In case you're new to my channel, I am in the middle of creating a Gilmore Girls save file in The Sims 4. So I've got absolutely loads of CAS and build videos relating to Gilmore Girls on my channel up already. If you're interested, I'll link the playlist of those down below so you can check them out. But yeah, today we are making Gypsy's garage slash house slash fuel station in The Sims 4, which is an odd combo, but we actually don't have cars in The Sims 4, so it didn't have too much an effect because we wouldn't have been able to do anything anyway. So I just made it a residential lot, and there's just loads of car objects and clutter around the front just to make it look like a garage. But yeah, it's basically just Gypsy's house. We don't actually see the lot that often in the show. I think the first and maybe the only time we see it is in, I think it may be season 1, when Dean goes to Gypsy's garage to get the car that he makes for Rory's birthday as a birthday present checked, because Rory's grandpa doesn't believe that he would have made it to a good enough standard, so he insists that he goes and get it checked by a mechanic, and then ends up insisting that he gets it checked over and over and over again because he's just convinced that there's something wrong with it even though there's not. And in the scene, Gypsy ends up breaking off the windscreen wipers of the car so that she'll have something to say is wrong with it, because she wants to go home basically and doesn't want to check this car anymore, so she just breaks the windscreen wipers off, which, you know, I think sums her up pretty well. She's quite feisty, quite sassy. She's not a particularly social person. I mentioned this in the CAS video that I made of her. We don't really see her hanging out with many people. We don't ever see her in a romantic relationship with anyone, which is interesting because in that CAS video, someone actually commented down below, my friend Kat, who also creates Sims videos. She mentioned that in an interview with the actress who plays Gypsy, said that she played the character as if that she was in love with Lorelai in every scene, which is so interesting. I had never heard that before, and I would never have thought that Gypsy would have been in love with Lorelai. That is definitely a shock. Whether or not we choose to believe that and treat it as canon is up to us to decide, I guess, but I find it an interesting concept. I'm quite happy to roll with that as an idea. I think it's super interesting, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, we don't really see Gypsy without Lorelai being around, so whenever we do see her, she is quite reserved, and that could be because she's just shy because she fancies Lorelai potentially, or is upset that Lorelai will never love her, because obviously Lorelai is straight as far as we see throughout the show, so that may potentially make sense. Also, there's a scene which is going to sound ridiculous to non-Gilmore Girls fans, but most of the things I talk about in these builds and videos are because the show is just weird like that. But okay, so I'll give you a bit of context. The two main characters who date, Lorelai and Luke, have a diner and run a hotel in the show, and so the town is super nosy and likes to get in everyone's business even if it's none of their business, and so it's quite small town drama, and so they have town meetings about ridiculous things, and in one of them, when Lorelai and Luke get together, they basically discuss what's going to happen if they break up and whether or not it's okay for them to get into a relationship together, because the consequences of them breaking up might be detrimental to the prosperity of the town, right? So I believe Gypsy, it was either in that episode or the one with the pink and blue ribbons. Maybe it was the ribbons one. So when they broke up, they distributed ribbons to people within the town to show whether or not they were Team Luke or Team Lorelai after the breakup. And Gypsy definitely had a pink ribbon, and that was because she said that Lorelai used her as a mechanic, whereas Luke fixed his own car. But maybe she was Team Lorelai because she was actually in love with her. Who knows? The other scene that comes to mind when I think of Gypsy is, and now that I'm talking about town meetings as well, is another town meeting where she has a crash with Andy, I think, like a car crash, and they're basically trying to decide who was responsible because they don't have any sort of judicial system apparently in in Stars Hollow. So yeah, they were just voting on who. They reenacted the crash, you know, without cars, just in the town hall. Well, not town hall, it's Miss Patty's dance studio, obviously. And they basically decided without any kind of evidence whatsoever and just their description of events who was to blame. And I believe Gypsy came off as guilty in that episode. So, you know, that's bad, seeing as she is a mechanic and her job involves cars. So shame on you, Gypsy. But you can see here that I've added absolutely loads of mechanic related objects, and they are pretty much all from Debug. So I got them out before I started placing them off camera because I didn't think that would be very fun for you to watch me scroll through Debug. I just did it off camera. So yeah, most of them are actually eco lifestyle objects, actually. Like the tires are all eco lifestyle, and these sort of metal structures, they're all eco lifestyle too. And then Strangerville had some of the like oil containers, but most of the objects are eco lifestyle, I believe. That pack was pretty good in terms of industrial type objects. And then I end up making this fuel station, which I think is a bit of an odd thing to have in someone's front garden, right? That's essentially her front drive, and she's got fuel station in her front drive. I know she's a mechanic, but well, not in England. We don't tend to have fuel stations at mechanics or a garage. You know, there'll be like a separate forecourt for a fuel station. But yeah, for some reason she does have a fuel station in her front garden. So go you, Gypsy. I mean, each to their own. That must be pretty stressful, like having people drive into your garden for fuel in front of your house every single day. That would be so annoying. But in terms of what I use to make the fuel station cars, obviously we don't have cars in The Sims 4, so I had to sort of improvise in terms of trying to make it look as much like the shape of a fuel station without actually having the right sort of objects. So I ended up basically just using a load of City Living Debug items. So the main object is like a map or a sign that's a debug object, and then I attach like these blue, I don't know what they are, they're like letter dispenser or something like that, maybe they're mail dispensers to each side of the sign. And then I also attach a light, and that's supposed to look like the fuel nozzle because they've got like a wire and stuff hanging down that kind of looks like it. And I can't remember where they were from, maybe they were eco lifestyle, those lights. And then I obviously had that pole, I can't remember which pack that was from, but that's another debug item, the pole. And then I created the roof and added some half walls and then just filled them with kitchen counters. So it was a bit of an effort to create that because obviously we have nothing like it in the game, like I said. And then I just added a sign to it. I hope you think it looks right because yeah, like I said, it was a bit of an effort just to make that look anything like a fuel station or a fuel pump. So I hope I did okay. And then in terms of the interior of the build, we never actually get to see the interior of Gypsy's home. Unless I am mistaken, please let me know down in the comments below if you can remember an episode where we do see the interior, and then I will edit this build when I come around to putting the save file together properly. But yeah, I basically just improvised. I made it a 1-bedroom house, and she's got an ensuite, but it's got a big bathroom downstairs. And I actually made it as if she had a pet cat because, well, I didn't make a cat for her in Kaz because we don't see one in the show, but I figured, I don't know, she gives me just cat vibes because I'm assuming she lives alone. We never see or hear anything about her living with anyone. And I know it's a bit of a cliche that lonely people sort of have cats. I like cats, I've had cats in the past, but yes, I figured that would suit her as a personality type to have cats. And so downstairs is just the hallway, bathroom, kitchen, dining room, the small dining room that's attached via the archways, and then a main living area. And then I gave her like an office area with extra seating as well in the room next to the dining room. And yeah, it's quite dated, like I say, in terms of decorations, basically because the show was made in the noughties, but I believe it was set in the 90s. So most of the characters do have quite old looking interiors, but not in a bad way. They're not distasteful or anything like that. Quite often they're quite pretty, but I thought particularly Gypsy is not the kind of character to care that much about her interior because, I don't know, she's not very feminine at all. She is a mechanic, obviously, so she's quite grubby half the time and is scruffy and always has her hair up in the same way, and it's quite low maintenance. It's very functional, and so I didn't get get vibes from her that she would have a particularly pretty interior. So yeah, it is quite dated. I use sort of dated wallpapers and dated curtains and traditional looking furniture. Yeah, let me know what you think her interior would look like. I also ended up giving her the woodworking table, and I think I put that in her sort of little shed garagey area with all of her tools and everything. But I gave her the woodworking table because I thought she would have quite a high handiness level in The Sims, because she's a mechanic and we don't have any kind of car related skill. So I think the closest thing I could think of was the handiness skill. So I gave her a woodworking table because that would make sense. And it's worth noting in this build that I use absolutely no CC, and even though I've got cars and everything in the build, they're all just from debug. So I don't know, do you guys ever think we're gonna get cars in The Sims 4? Because it's a big topic for a lot of people. People really want cars. I mean, personally, I couldn't care less if we have cars in The Sims 4. I know that's controversial coming from me, especially the person who wants like realism in the game, and I, you know, was really angry about the Star Wars pack that's just been announced. Like, oh, I really do not care for occults and unrealistic gameplay in The Sims. Or I do care, I just want an option to turn them off. I do not like them infecting my vanilla gameplay. But cars is just one thing that I don't really care about in The Sims, because they won't impact the game at all. Like, as far as I can predict, like, I cannot imagine, unless they made like a mechanic career or race car driver career or something like that, I can't imagine how they would impact your gameplay. Maybe like teaching your teens to drive, that would be cool. I feel like maybe that was the Sims 3 Generations thing, although I can't remember. I never had that pack. I only had pets in The Sims 3. But yeah, let me know down below what your feelings about cars in The Sims 4 are. Are you passionate about it in any way? What do you think would be the best additions to gameplay that they would provide? Because obviously it's not an open world like The Sims 3, so we have loading screens. We don't really need cars in the same way. But I'm grateful that we have them as objects in debug. Like, I'm really happy that they added those. But yeah, I think it's probably because I have no interest in cars in real life. Like, I am the type of person that recognizes cars by their color and not by their make or anything like that. I do not know a single car make off by heart at all. Couldn't care less what type of car something is. You know, I have a car, I drive, but I bought it purely based on functionality and not at all due to whether or not I liked it as a car. I do not understand people who like cars and enjoy cars, and people who like driving fast either. That is just not me. I'm such a granny when it comes to driving, and I'm also terrible at driving as well, so, you know, feel free to judge me. I have crashed into a wall in my car not too long ago. I mean, I was a relatively new driver when I did that, but yes, I'll never live that down. My boyfriend and his family will not let me forget that ever. But let me know what your thoughts are down below. If you liked the video, please like, comment and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, I make these Gilmore Girls videos every single Saturday, so keep an eye out for them. Let me know what you think of this build and how you think it shapes up to the TV show. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye guys.